It was the 28th day of the crew's chaotic journey. Their spaceship descended into the heart of Tokyo, Japan. Neon lights lit up the skyline like 1,000 stars. The streets buzzed with energy, and the crew had only one goal in mind: explore everything, preferably without causing an international incident. The ship's ramp lowered, and the crew stepped out directly into the mesmerizing chaos of a Shibuya crossing. They were immediately swallowed by a tidal wave of humanity, a river of people flowing in every direction. Above them, massive digital billboards painted the night sky with vibrant, shifting colors, their light reflecting off the crew's glossy spacesuits. The sounds of the city, the murmur of 1,000 conversations, the distant beat of music, the gentle hum of traffic created a symphony that was both overwhelming and thrilling. Red, the de facto leader, stood frozen for a moment, his smooth, jelly bean-shaped body a stark contrast to the sharp angles of the skyscrapers around him. Yellow bounced on their short, stubby legs, visor swiveling to take in every dazzling detail. "Oh, this place makes electrical look organized," Red muttered, his voice a muffled sound from within his helmet. The sheer scale of the intersection, with its perfectly timed pedestrian scrambles, was a marvel of coordinated chaos he could barely comprehend. Yellow pointed a non-existent arm toward a building plastered with a giant, animated cat. "Look at all those lights. It's like we landed inside a giant task panel. Every glowing sign and flashing advertisement seemed like a new button to press, a new task to complete." The energy was infectious, a stark and exciting departure from the sterile, predictable corridors of their spaceship. Blue, ever the pragmatist, waddled closer to the group, his visor reflecting the frantic pace of the crowd. He nudged Yellow gently. "Don't get lost, or we'll have to call an emergency meeting just to find you." The thought of trying to gather everyone in this sprawling urban jungle was a nightmare. He didn't want to entertain, drawn in by a cacophony of electronic music and flashing lights emanating from a nearby building. The crew ventured into a massive multi-story arcade. The air inside was thick with the scent of ozone and sugary snacks, a symphony of beeps, boops, and triumphant jingles filling their helmets. Rows upon rows of claw machines lined the walls, their glass prisons filled with colorful, fluffy prizes of all shapes and sizes. Rhythm games pulsed with hypnotic beats, their screens ablaze with dancing characters and cascading notes. "Okay, I'm winning that giant Pikachu plush no matter what," Green declared, their eyes fixed on a particularly large, smiling Pokémon trapped behind a pane of glass. They pressed their visor right up against the machine, already strategizing their approach to conquering the fickle claw. Purple, however, was captivated by something else entirely. A nearby Dance Dance Revolution machine was blaring a high-energy J-pop track, its platform glowing with arrows that beckoned challengers. "Forget the plushy, look at this dance game," Purple exclaimed, doing a little bounce on their feet in time with the music. Red, feeling a surge of misplaced confidence, stepped onto the adjacent DDR platform. The music started, and arrows began to flood the screen. Red's stubby legs moved in a frantic, uncoordinated shuffle, completely out of sync with the rhythm. They stumped on the up arrow when they should have hit the down, and slid left when the screen demanded a right. While legs weren't designed for this much cardio, Red gasped, already winded after just 30 seconds. Blue, who had been observing from a safe distance, chuckled. They had just finished a racing game, only to be soundly defeated by a small child with lightning-fast reflexes. "At least you didn't get beaten by an 8-year-old, Blue said, trying to offer some form of comfort. Their arcade adventure was cut short by a booming announcement echoing from a different floor. Intrigued, the crew followed the sound to a small, packed arena where a crowd was gathered around a circular ring or ***. But this wasn't a traditional sumo match. In the center of the ring, two gleaming chrome robots were facing off, their metallic bodies whirring as they prepared for battle. Just as the match was about to begin, The spotlight swept across the audience and landed directly on the crew. The announcer's voice boomed over the speakers, mistaking their strange, rounded forms for a new team of challengers. "Wait, what? We're fighting robots now?" Yellow squeaked, their voice pitching up in panic. The crowd roared with anticipation, their cheers echoing in the small arena. The crew was suddenly the center of attention, with nowhere to run. "Okay, nobody panic," Red said, trying to sound braver than they felt. "Just look intimidating." The crew attempted to puff out their armless chests, which only made them look like slightly more bloated jelly beans. Before anyone could formulate a real plan, the pressure of the crowd behind them nudged Purple forward, sending them stumbling into the sumo ring. "Why is it always me?" Purple cried out, now standing alone opposite a hulking, multi-limbed robot that revved its internal motors menacingly. Blue leaned over the railing, a hint of amusement in their voice. "Don't worry, if you get squashed, at least it'll be hilarious." The robot, taking Purple's sudden appearance as the start of the match, lowered its head and charged. It moved with surprising speed, its metallic feet clanking against the floor. But just as it was about to collide with the terrified Purple, a brilliant flash of light from the overhead lamps reflected perfectly off Purple's large, smooth visor, momentarily blinding the robot's optical sensors. The machine swerved violently, lost its footing, and crashed headfirst into the padded arena wall with a loud, metallic clang. A moment of stunned silence was followed by a deafening eruption of cheers from the crowd. Purple was an accidental champion. After making a hasty escape from their newfound robot sumo fame, the crew sought refuge in a quieter, more civilized establishment, a conveyor belt sushi restaurant. They found a booth and watched in fascination as small, colorful plates of sushi glided past on a miniature conveyor belt. Green eagerly reached for a plate of tuna maki, but just as it neared their table, it vanished. "Hey, where'd my tuna roll go?" Green exclaimed, looking at the empty space on the belt where the sushi had been moments before. They watched the belt intently, waiting for the next tempting plate. Yellow spotted a plate of tamago nigiri approaching. "It was here 1 second. Gone the next," they shouted as that plate, too, disappeared into thin air right before it reached them. The crew exchanged suspicious glances. "Don't look at me," Blue mumbled, their cheeks suspiciously full. A few grains of rice clung to the edge of their helmet. Red's sharp eyes scanned the length of the conveyor belt. Just as another plate was about to pass, a flash of movement caught their eye there. "The sushi thief," Red pointed. Tucked away in a shadowy corner near the kitchen entrance was a small, calico cat. With ninja-like precision, the feline was hopping onto the belt, deftly swiping a piece of sushi with its paw and retreating back into the shadows to enjoy its prize. "Quick, someone trade it for a salad," Purple suggested, still rattled from their robotic encounter. Green shook their head, visor narrowing as they stared down the furry culprit. "No way," they said with absolute certainty. "That cat's sus." As the night drew to a close, the crew made their way to the iconic Tokyo Tower. From the observation deck, the city sprawled out beneath them like a glittering carpet of neon and gold. The once overwhelming energy of the streets now looked serene and beautiful from above. They stood together in comfortable silence, their simple, armless forms silhouetted against the glowing skyline. Red held a bag filled with small arcade prizes. Green clutched the giant Pikachu plush they had eventually won, and Blue had a small, take-out box of sushi apiece offering for the feline thief they ended up befriending. "Well, we survived Tokyo, somehow," Red said, breaking the silence. Yellow sighed contentedly, barely. "I think I still owe a robot an apology." Blue patted the sushi box. "And I owe a cat about 12 sushi plates." "Worth it," Green concluded, hugging their plushie tightly. Purple looked out at the endless city lights, a look of weary satisfaction on their visor. "Next up better have less cardio." And so, Day 28 came to a neon-colored close. The crew had conquered arcades, dodged robot sumos, and even befriended a sushi thief cat. Tokyo would never forget the jelly bean astronauts, and neither would the poor robots still stuck in the arena wall.